and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anupya. If you're new, which you probably are because this is literally my second video, I'm going to be talking about 6 things today that I do to relax and stay present in this chaotic mess of a work life that we have called the 2020s. Make sure you like this video if you think it's useful so it can reach more people, and please subscribe to my channel because I will be releasing a new video every week. I want to say one thing before we get into it. I am in no way an expert on what we're about to talk about. Please do not take this as me telling you what to do. I'm just going to tell you what works for me, and please feel free to adapt whatever I tell you to your lifestyle. I will try to give specific examples when I can on how I manifest all of these in my own life. But again, I am no expert and hopefully this helps you, and I'm just telling you what works for me. Alright, so I got my coffee and let's just jump right into it. I think 3 of my biggest assets from 2020 were my bullet journal, my Scratchpad Google document that I keep, and my digital organization. Our brains are literally always running with new ideas, ways to improve ourselves in career, school, etc. And most of the time, our brains are hyperactively trying to remember memories and ideas. This can lead to a lot of fatigue. It's tiring. When we forget things, there is a tiny piece of us that knows we forgot something, and then the anxiety kicks in. My biggest piece of advice is to write things down whenever you can. There are so many thoughts that go through my brain on a daily basis. When I'm in meetings, while I'm just working, I get it. You never know when that big idea is just gonna pop into your head. When you're talking to someone face to face, they deserve your attention. When you are working on something, it deserves your complete attention. If such a thought arises where you can't forget about it, it's at the front of your head and it's bothering you, it will distract you. So now you're trying to cling onto that thought, trying to focus on what's in front of you at the same time. You're stressed about the fact that you might forget it, and also the fact that the person in front of you might realize that you're distracted. And now the amount of effort that's required to remember that one thing has quadrupled. Now, if you wrote it down, you could eliminate all of that extra effort, right? I have a bookmark on my Chrome browser for a Google Doc called Anupya Scratchpad, and whenever I'm in meetings, I just reach for it because I can be in the meeting and talking to this person and still be typing out everything I'm thinking, but they still think I'm like listening and nodding along. So it's a little less of a distraction than going and getting a journal or something. But I also love my bullet journal. If it's easier to take notes while writing it down, then I normally put it in my day's notes section in my bullet journal. This is also really useful to have when you're thinking about something else that's completely off topic, but you have to bring it up in this meeting or in this discussion, but you don't want to interrupt the other person's flow or the fact that this thing that you're trying to discuss will go on a tangent. So write it down and come back to it later. Bring it up when it's appropriate. So now that I've written it down, I am so free to relax. If I forget the thought, it's fine. It's written down. And now the stress is gone, the effort put into actually remembering this is gone, and the time you have right now will be spent invested in what's in front of you, and you'll be present. Now later, when I'm done working on whatever it is, I will always go back into my bullet journal or my Scratchpad and put it into a more structured and permanent space. Digital organization is so important for long-term notes. I recently just started using Notion. I got a lot of questions about this actually because I kind of gave glimpses of me using it in the morning and the night of my day in the life video. I love Notion because I can easily come back and search for whatever I was thinking about. I could filter through things. I can keep it in the most organized fashion, and it's fully customizable so you can make it whatever works for you. I promise this isn't a sponsored video. I'm just like, I recently discovered it and I'm so obsessed with it. I was never the kind to be consistent with a planner or anything, but Notion literally changed my life. Another habit that I would recommend that's under the same umbrella category is to brain dump or to journal. Every weekend, whenever you have time, just like sit down and get everything that you're thinking about out on paper. Normally when I brain dump on the weekends, I try to save it for things that are work related, creative things, just things that have been crowded in my brain and I'm trying to get out. And brain dumping is a way to just like get into a flow and have random thoughts that you've thought about connect, and then you can put them on paper. It's kind of a form of journaling, but journaling I like to keep as more of like a daily thing where I can write down like 3 things I'm thankful for during that day, or affirmations, or something like just to remember like what happened that day and be thankful for what happened. Because if you try to journal your life of everything that happened in that week, it's going to be really time consuming and difficult to do because you have to remember everything that happened. If you do a little bit a day on a daily basis, it'll add up and then it'll feel much better to relieve yourself of everything that's happening in your life. I normally like to journal in the mornings or to set the tone for the rest of my day and plan for what I want to happen that day, or I'll journal at night and just like reflect on what's happening. Your memory is really inconsistent, but honestly, it's not our fault. Like, this is how our brains are built. We forget things. It's just how we are. Our brain has 2 layers. We have our thoughts, and then we have a layer that decides what we do with those thoughts. Don't blame yourself for what happens to those front thoughts, but writing them down is one way to get around that regret, so you never forget it and you can let yourself decide later, if that makes sense. So the third thing I want to talk about are morning and night routines. So morning routines are super important because they set the tone for the rest of your day. They're like the first accomplishments you have to keep motivating you throughout the day. It's not easy to be a morning person, I understand, but the earlier you get up, the more peaceful the rest of your day will be. The more time you have to think about how your day is gonna go, it's so much better. I said this in the last video, but I need at least 2 to 3 hours to wake myself up. The first 30 minutes I need to just get out of bed. The next 1 hour I need to maybe work out, get myself moving. The next 1 hour will be to like get ready, shower, you know, do the necessary thing. And most of the time I don't need that whole hour, but it's nice to have buffer time and just to get ready slowly. And then you have breakfast, drink your coffee, and just plan out the day. And it's just so nice to have that time just for yourself. Staying active first thing in the morning is also the best thing you can do for yourself. It can be a walk or working out or yoga, anything to just get yourself moving. Getting yourself sweating can actually be much better than coffee. Those first couple hours are when you're setting the tone for the rest of the day, so stay active. The first couple hours of the morning are completely yours. If I get up at 9 o'clock, regardless, I need 2 to 3 hours to get out of bed. By the time I start being productive, it's already 12. If I get up at 6 and I take all of that time to get ready, by 9, I'm still like, that's still pretty early to be productive. Also, I don't know if this is true, but I don't believe that anyone needs more than 8 hours of sleep. I don't think it's beneficial unless you're in sleep debt. If you sleep in, I truly think it's not benefiting your body in any way. You're really just wasting time. So why not just get up early if you sleep on time? So for example, in my last video, I slept at 1 a.m. There was no chance I was getting up at 6 a.m. the next day. That's okay. You can change your morning routine and night routine so it serves you. So it's whatever your schedule fits. Sometimes you're not gonna have that strict morning routine every single day, and that's fine. Forgive yourself. Night routines, like I said, are extremely important as well because they plan the next day and you can go to sleep completely restful. It makes waking up easier. There's less anxiety when you go to sleep about prospective thoughts of what's gonna happen in the morning. It's important to let your mind just wind down, let your thoughts return to yourself rather than everything that happened at work or everything that happened at school. Let yourself rest. You need sleep to let your body function and be more productive. So just having a plan in the morning for how your day is gonna go and having a plan at night for how your morning is gonna go can do loads for your day. I think they're critical pieces of my routine that I would never give up. Okay, so the fourth thing I want to talk about is to stop multitasking. Don't do too much at once. Your brain can get overwhelmed. So no working and watching TV, no working during meetings. It's a bad idea. This goes in line with being present and more conscious of the decisions you're making. When you work and do something else, you are not giving your work 100% of your attention, and normally it will take 2 times as long. We do other things like watch TV, listen to music, work at a coffee shop with our friends because we want distractions. We want something to keep us happy while we're doing this dreadful task. If you really think about it, if you really try, you can get this work done so fast. You just gotta believe in yourself. I promise you, if you put the time in, you will get it done so much faster than you realize. I'm not saying that this is easy. You need willpower to power through, but you gotta think about the end. How are you going to feel when you're done? Right? When you multitask, the quality of work also goes down. I'm gonna try and explain this a little better in nerd terms, so hang with me for a second. It's like threading. Your operating system can only handle one application at a time. And yes, while computers are strong enough to perform all of these tasks so fast that it feels simultaneous, our brains are not powered that way. You need to give it time, and context switching is difficult. It's like computers need context. They need memory. Every single time a new application is rebooted, you need to take that context and memory with you. And it's same with us. We need to remember the context. Every time you start switching things, you're not going to have the context as well as you did the first time. Anyway, I'm done being nerdy. I hope that explained things a little better. So for example, if this thing is going to take 20 minutes to get it done, power through. Just like suck it up and do it for 20 minutes. Don't make it 40 to an hour. And once you start, it'll speed by and you'll be so proud of what you accomplished when you put your whole head to it. It's 100% your capability. And this also also goes for goals. Yes, have several goals, as many as you're capable of. But when you actually go to achieve them, what I'm saying is focus on one at a time, one or two at a time. Obviously, everyone's different. I personally couldn't handle having a full-time job and making mixes for dance teams and traveling to DJ live. It was just too much. And on top of that, there was a social life, there was my relationships, there was just so much. I was capable of handling all of this, but it was just, I tried to do it all at once. I had no schedule, I had no rhythm, it was just all at once. And I ended up half-assing all of it. And now I still have that many goals, if not more, but I time block and I focus, and it makes loads of a difference. I think the worst thing is when you're trying to work in the middle of a meeting that requires active participation. Don't do it. It sounds self-explanatory, but we all do it. I know it's hard to stop doing, but just try it once or twice. You'll see. If you need to be doing something during a meeting or while you're working so that your mind doesn't wander, take notes. Basically what I'm trying to say is don't multitask, choose one thing and do it at a time. Okay, number 4. Therapy. I don't know why there is so much taboo around therapy and mental health. I stand by this. Everyone needs therapy. It's basically a verbal form of journaling. It's just cleansing. And it's valuable to have someone dedicated to hear you out. If you don't have a therapist, then you have amazing friends that are willing to listen to you. But even then, there's a threshold. There's a threshold that you never want to cross, right? You can't 100% be open with them because you don't want to push them too hard. So either you have amazing friends who are willing to listen or you just bottle everything up. Therapy is a really good thing to have regularly to just cleanse yourself, to get that weight off of your shoulders so that you don't implode. Anxiety is extremely common in all fields. It's a mental feeling, but also a physical feeling. It cripples you, and then it makes you unproductive, and then you feel guilty for not being productive, and then you just spiral and it compounds and it gets worse and worse. Therapy doesn't need to take up time. It can be 1 hour a week or 1 hour every couple weeks, or if you're in school, you can definitely look into the free options they have as well. It's definitely worth the investment, both monetarily and time. It'll at least clear up some anxiety or bring to surface things that are hindering you to grow as a person, both professionally and spiritually. So basically what I'm saying is that therapy is a mental detox for you to be more in tune with how you're feeling and figure out how to serve yourself in the best way. So here we are at the last thing, and this is active presence. So it's going to sound kind of vague, but I'll explain it a little bit better. It could be something as simple as going for a walk or really just sitting and staring at the wall. Do something that lets you focus on what's in front of you and observe the things around you. Like if I go for a walk, I'll observe the Christmas lights, I'll see the dogs, I'll see the houses. Really just feel the air, the wind, and just breathe. Some people go for a run, some people do yoga, some people work out, some sort of meditative state. I kind of do a mix of all of them, but again, everyone has a different way of doing this. It doesn't have to be any massive task. Do them at least once or a couple times a day if time allows for it. I was not doing this until a couple months ago, and I was always struggling to stay present and not let my mind wander. Especially during quarantine, we tend to let our minds wander so much. Our thoughts will either sit in the future or be thinking retrospectively in the past, like what if. I think it's hard to avoid doing this all the time, but we do it a lot. It's tiring. Your thoughts will just get so scrambled and you won't be able to think clearly on the spot. In meetings, I feel myself wander so often, and my responses and my actions and my observations are not to my fullest potential, and then I feel guilty about how I acted and it spirals. But all of that improved so much ever since I started practicing active presence. Just allow yourself to sit and be thankful for what you have in front of you. At the end of the day, our ultimate goal in life is to just live. It'll feel odd when you do it in the beginning, believe me. It'll take a little bit of effort, but over time, eventually, as you do it more and more, it'll just become effortless. And the goal is that you'll be able to stay present no matter what you're doing. You'll just feel clarity, and your future work and your future relationships will thank you. Just start now, and I'll be working on it right alongside with you. Alright, so I think we covered everything I wanted to say. If I'm going to quickly review everything I just said, 1, write things down. Brain dump, journal. Those things are so important. And the third thing was morning and night routines, just to keep your day scheduled and planned, to relieve the burden of making decisions throughout the day on yourself. The fourth thing, stop multitasking. Don't have too many things that you want to do on your brain at once. Write them down, put them away, address them later. And the fifth thing was therapy, just have someone to talk to. And the sixth thing was an active presence, just a meditative state, at least a couple times a day, to just refocus your mind on where you are in the moment and what you're working towards. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful for you, and if you try to incorporate any of these things into your life, I would love to hear about them. Leave them in the comment section below. Also, if there's anything anything else you want me to elaborate on, do a full video on how I practice, also let me know. Give this video a big thumbs up to make sure it reaches other people. Subscribe and turn on notifications, and I will love you forever. I will be releasing videos every week, and that's it. Bye!